Guys, girls in YouTube land, Patreon land, this is it. The follow-up video to the fire video. If you've not seen it, it's on my YouTube. Why you should always carry a fire extinguisher. Ruby caught fire. Just to bring you up to speed, I was on the M66 motorway when I noticed the oil light came on. Flames had started to burn through the engine, severing the fuel gauge pressure tube, switching on the dash oil lamp warning, which I clearly saw because it's a modification that I've got. But even this, despite that flashing, I could then tell something's wrong because motorists were high beaming me in the rear view mirror. I then saw smoke in the rear view mirror. Engine was still going though. It then stalled. I drifted into the slip road. We hadn't joined the main carriageway at that point. We were still on the slip road. Just luckily, actually, there. Lucky where it got, we managed to pull over. Anyway, got to thank Andy, the lens, who was with me. Andy lives, he was a passenger. We were doing a photo shoot in some 70s style blocks of flats in Rochdale, and we were on the way back. Okay, and that's when it happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened because we're going to do a forensic analysis now. But we pulled over. I went straight to the engine, and it was turning over. We're not going to look at it yet. I'm going to reveal the damage in a sec. It was turning over. So I couldn't work out why, with the ignition off, the car was still turning over. I'll tell you why that was happening in a minute. So pull over. At this point, I didn't know there was fire. I thought it was the engine had blown up and that the cam belt had snapped or slipped again, because I'd had a cam belt slip on this only a month or so ago. I thought the engine's blown, and I said to Andy, the engine's blown. And even though it wasn't sort of blue smoke, it was whitish smoke and black. I thought, wow, blown another engine, lost power. And then, as I say, it had stalled. And I thought, I'll have a look at this. But because it was still turning over, that's why I rushed to the engine bay. I think that if it wasn't turning over, in other words, the starter motor was still going with the keys off. So I thought something's really, really weird, and that threw me. That was like a left side. That was like just an out-of-the-box thing. In your head, you're thinking, right, engine is blown up, pull over, and we'll have a chat about it inside the car. Not rush to the front yet, just talk to Andy about, shit, we've blown an engine up. But because it was spinning, I thought, something wrong with the electrics. Better get under the bonnet quick. And as we lifted the bonnet, there was flames. And here we have, you're going to see the white powder all over the place from the fire extinguisher. And you're going to see where the fire was. So the reason the engine was turning over was because it had melted through the starter motor wires and shorted it out. I'd mentioned that on the previous film. Now, I was surprised, looking at this, I can see what's happened. I was surprised that the flames had reached the starter motor cables, which are all the way down there, in order to actually melt them to short them out. And the only way that the wires could have melted together is that with the flames were being drawn downwards like a fireball, with the speed that we were doing, because we were up to at least 50, maybe even 60. I think we were up to 50. So it must have ignited just as we approached the slip road. Although I did notice a couple of minutes before a sort of jump in the car, and it was losing a bit of power, and it cut back in. I thought, oh, what's going on? We went up a hill. I thought, well, actually, I have to keep an eye on that. But I think it was starting a couple of minutes earlier by dousing the distributor in fuel. Now let's talk about how it happened. Pop these keys down. This, and again, it's explained on the first fire video, but I think you'll mind me going through all of this again because this is the forensic film. That ferrule, whatever you want to call it, that brass fitting, it's a ferrule, I think, F-E-R-R-U-L-E. It's an interference fit into the carb, and I know it's rubbish, which is why I put a little cable jubilee round the edge, and then I just zip tie them in position. Now, it'd be better to thread it, we know this. But the zip tie will hold it and stop it. It has stopped it. It's had the zip tie on it all Ruby's life. And all my other cars also have this secured. None of them can pull out without you pulling that physical zip tie. But recently I'd done the valve clearances on this and tidied the engine bay up. I got it back up to concourse spec in the engine bay. and I'd not refitted it because it needed to be taken off when I was fixing the carburettor and the valve clearances. Carburettor had a leak on the accelerator pump. So it was taken off and I didn't fit it back on. So my mistake. So you get that to come off, then you can run for a while. You might be able to run for a few minutes, probably a minute, on the fuel in the bowl of the carb. Right? But that's enough to spray this everywhere. And by the time it hits your distributor, it's going to flash over and ignite. Auto ignition is the correct terminology for when a fuel reaches its temperature and then ignites. And that would auto ignite probably on the exhaust manifold. Although, do you know what? An exhaust manifold isn't quite enough to auto ignite. If you pour a cap of petrol on your exhaust, it doesn't always blow. It doesn't always auto ignite. Brake fluid will, because that's got a lower position. So this will have ignited on the electrics, and it would have ignited on the distributor, I'm sure of it. So then what happens once it's ignited, this just acts as a flamethrower. And bizarrely, look at this, folks, it's not actually burnt. I mean, I'm not going to need a flying saucer, fuel filter there, that round disc. It's not actually burnt the tube. To me, that shows that it's not been burning that long. It hasn't even penetrated through the rubber. It's got through the outer cloth sheathing, but it hasn't actually got through the rubber tube, look. So that's been wallowing around, waving around, and mainly it's waved around, stuck underneath the airbox. It's not been able to actually throw it over this area. It's locked underneath there because of the position that I've got the tube. If you look, it comes out of the fuel pump. Let's make sure, yeah, it comes out of the fuel pump, and then it's just done that. And that's created the fireball in a localized area as opposed to dousing everything. So that was lucky. And then it's managed to burn through the airbox, the air cleaner pan, and then it looks to me like it's gone into like a catch-22. It looks to me like the fire's been tracking into the inlet of the carburettor. If you look, it's been drawing flames down there, look. That would be interesting to see what damage that would do. We could have took the carb out. It'd be interesting. I mean, I wonder how the engine would have dealt with that, folks. Engine people out there, or do you want to put any theories forward this afternoon? Saturday afternoon, by the way, Saturday evening. Going out on a quick live chat, might be 50 of us on. So type away and ask me any questions while we're on. Flames drawing into the inlet of the carb after having burned through the element of the heater, of the air cleaner, the air filter element burnt through, and then you can see it's tracked across and created a sort of loop there. I wonder if it turbocharged it or supercharged it or nitrous it. Okay, so today's a black day for me. I've not looked at this since I got Dave.com. Dave.com does a company called Classic Ford Spares, and he's in Blackburn. I was near Haslingden, so he wasn't far away. Luckily, his recovery truck, which he has, wasn't far away. But we weren't allowed to recover in a live lane. We were in a live lane there. The highways turned up and the fire brigade turned up. I presume the motorist behind me called the fire brigade. I didn't. And all credit to the highways agency and the fire brigade, because they towed us off. Well, they didn't tow us off, they towed us into the next lay-by, because he said, we can't do a recovery for you here unless you have our vehicles closing off one of the lanes, and then your recovery truck can do it. But you're going to need a combination of highways vehicles and or their recovery or my recovery to get you on, because it's a live lane. But what they did was they towed me into the lay-by just up the road. So thank you very much to the highways guys. You know, sometimes I call them things and I shouldn't, and I feel terrible about that because they're such nice people. You know, on some on road trips, don't tell him I've called them wombles, and I feel terrible about that. So I'm sorry, and I soon changed my tune when they find out how lovely they were and cooperative they were. At least those two particular officers. I didn't take the names, but thanks if you're watching what you did for me to get me into that lay-by. and that saved me 150 quid, because their recovery that they authorised to come out was going to charge 150 to go back to their yard. But Dave, my friend, he came and I get a good price off him. So we got into the lay-by after the fire was put out. A couple of people saying about the battery. Well, yes, when you're putting the fire out, the last thing I was thinking about was the battery terminal. You try it, right? You try about to lose your Classic. Once that, if that had got underneath, that had started siphoning out onto the floor, we'd have had a fireball on the floor. Right, that was the next. That's what's going to happen next, because it could have burnt the fuel input pipe to the pump, but then you're in trouble. Then you're siphoning your tank. So when that kind of scenario is out there, you're the last thing you're thinking about is disconnecting your battery. I'm telling you now, you try it. I know you've got to disconnect the battery, but so many comments I've had on this. One comment, one guy just said it's madness. I understand. Don't worry, I don't consider that to be an attack on me. But I've had swearing people going, well, I can't put the swear words on here. You stupid little effing little. You think you know about cars? You can't even. Well, you try it. You try being here when your car's about to go up in flames and thinking, yeah, I'll just take that off. Especially when this is a fused link, right? That's not, and I agree. Take off this lead. But this lead is running my hazard lights and my tail lights. It's getting dark, and when we're in the lay-by, we haven't got any. Highways flashing lights anymore. And when they were towing me, I wanted my hazard lights on. Now, if the electrics go really, really bad, this is a fused link. Look at this little brown cable, folks. Not many people are aware of this, but that carries the whole current to the car. It's just about within spec of the things I've got running on it. There's a bit of volt drop on that. But that burns out. That's your fused link. This doesn't, so yes, disconnect that, which I did later. You'll see, keen-eyed people will see that that's not on. But I connected just that, and look. Okay. There's no more fuel, by the way. I connected that, and that gave me hazards in my tails, which I wanted. I didn't want to get shunted at the back, and once I was out of the clear, when we got onto the truck, it was on the truck bed, because I wanted hazards as I was drawing it up the truck bed. I then took that off. So, stick that, because that's what I did. Try it. The main thing was to get the fire out. And talking about getting the fire out, I'd rehearsed this. I'd gone through it time and time again. I'm going to get the keys in a minute and show you what I do about my fire extinguisher and how important it is. Hold on while I get the key to the boot. I'm afraid my voice is going to be not the usual elated self. There's going to be no whoops, squeals, howls or jokes, because I'm on a low, a manic depression low. So we've done all the highs. People who've been speaking to me on the phone will know that I'm on amphetamines or something. No, I'm on a manic high, and today's a crash day. I probably would have crashed anyway, but I crash even more looking at this. So going through the manic depression, so you get your high, you get your low, you're all over the place. And I know I'm bad, because last night on the live chat I just pulled the plug and stopped drinking. I was only up to my second beer. I would normally do 4 Peronis. I just thought, I'm going to bed, and that was it. I know it's coming. I know the lows are coming. So I've got a double hit. I've got the manic depression low down, so we're there instead of here, up here, up here, and now we're down there. And we've got this to deal with, and it's dark. I haven't got sunglasses on, and it's raining. We're on a lockdown still, and just I don't want to make you go low watching this film. I'm going to jump off a cliff after watching Pete's film. Let's take the positives. We'll take the positives right now, and we'll turn this thing around. We're not going to let this beat us. Let me go and get the keys for the car. I'll open the boot, and I'll show you what I mean about my fire extinguisher procedure, and then we're going to clean this up. And do you remember the film Christine, when Arnie says, once you clean up all the broken glass, it doesn't look so bad? Well, let's apply that to this now. Let's first get it clean. I'll get the keys, show you what I mean about the fire extinguisher procedure, because it's one thing having the extinguisher, using it's the other thing. So we need to rehearse that. We're going to go and do it. This is going to help everybody. So Pete gets the keys. We'll be right back in a sec. Hold on. Okay. Ruby's keys. So this is what I did, because the fire extinguisher in Ruby's case is in the boot. So I knew that. So straight to the boot, calmly. Didn't rush it, just as quick as I can. And that's Ruby's toolkit box. It's always in there. So slide back and look. It's always there. Marked up where it is. It's always located in the same place, sideways on in the box. This is now spent. This was a kiddie dry powder. Could use CO2 as well. Jury's out on that. It's now spent, of course. So that's where it was. And that's why I knew. I'd rehearsed that situation. Never thought it would happen, but it did. So that was the fire extinguisher. So round we went, and then you just do the usual point and hope that you get it. And that left us with this mess. So, shall we have a look just to see? I'm going to get the torch too. The torch is in the house as well. I just went and got the keys, you idiot. I could have got the torch when I went. We're going to need the torch because we're going to go down, we're going to do our forensics now. Torch and tripod, Pete on the forensics. Hold on. Okay, we're going to go in with the torch. Can we see what exactly has happened? Just to the right of the engine mount and oil filter there, you're going to see a stub sticking out the side of the engine. I think I can get you in. And that's the oil pressure sender which melted off. So I'm going to put it right on here. Sorry if it's going to get a bit clunky. Here is the oil pressure pipe. It's melted it off. So now you think about that. Flames must have got at least to that point to do that. Wow, how the hell did the flames get down there? From there to melt that. And you can see it scorched the dipstick. Wow, how did the flames get down as far as that? That's crazy. And you can see, I wonder if that's the point where here, now, just above that red cable, I wonder if that's the point where it melted and fused together the starter motor wires, because they're the starter motor wires. So it looks like, folks, that it's the fire track is straight down, just straight down into this cavity here, and that would fit in with the air flow. If you imagine a car going quick, there's going to be a suction point there, probably right the way through the car. So that is just your airflow, and that'll be why you could probably get the bulkhead to go up, because it could have started burning through the bulkhead. Indeed, I'm looking at the kickdown solenoid now. We're going to go underneath. It looks like it's melted the face off the kickdown solenoid. Wow, the flames have even hit the gearbox. Whoa. Wow, the flames have melted the kickdown face, the rubber boot. Oh my God. How the hell? Yeah, the kickdown cable. It's took the kickdown. I don't believe that. Oh my God. Wow. It's took the kickdown solenoid out. What the? Right. That's incredible how the flames have sucked downwards. Now, has it hit any paint? Right, you would expect it to have burnt that bulkhead, that yellow paint on the bulkhead. I can't see anything on it. You would have expected it to have burnt the heater box. I can't see anything on it. You'd have expected it, yeah, I'm going to say it again, the inner wings. I can't see anything on it. So that, we talked before about drawing positives, and that's the only way you can look at this, is you say, yeah, it's bad, it's happened in the first place. But if it was in the post, if it was due to happen, aren't you glad that Andy was with us first? And aren't you glad also that it's decided to do it this way, downwards, away from the paint, almost hugging the engine? And that's the extent of the paint damage. I don't even think it is paint damage. It may have blistered, but it doesn't look like it. keep typing away in the chat box there. We've got a super chat on. Now, I'm up for trying to raise some money. I'm trying to do it with super chat. And it's not begging, by the way. I'll tell you one thing, I'm on the defensive today. It's not begging, super chat, and neither's Patreon, because if you produce videos and you take the time to edit them out, yes, some of mine are big, long epics, like RT epics, and it's not for everybody. My Cold War film that just went out yesterday, that's a bit of entertainment. It's 2 hours of bit of chat and entertainment, and it's not strictly cars, although Cortinas and Vulcans are in it, but it was a big epic film. But I do a lot of short films which are purely cars, like all the restoration films for this car and for Bramble after it. And I don't get anything out of YouTube. You need 1 million views per film per month to make a living. And even that won't do it. You'd only be up to the minimum wage, or tenner an hour, whatever it is, $8.50. I can't remember, $8.75. Anyway, but the super chat's a way of contributing towards the filmmaking process as you get the live chat out of it. So I'm on doing your Q&A, and you can put in £1.50, which gets a pint of beer. You don't have to do it if you don't want, but what I'm saying is this. I'm trying to make YouTube videos, so's a lot of people. I appreciate you can go wherever you want on YouTube, but Pete Seat, Cortina City, it's just a loss-making exercise doing these films. Yes, I do enjoy making them most of the time. Sometimes I'll make a film because you want it and I don't really want to do it, but I do it anyway. And in them situations, money is required, I'm afraid, to pay for it. Because well, I don't know. I'll let you decide what you think. But the super chat button's at the bottom of the chat box there for you to press. And it feels like begging, but it's not. I'm just selling my videos. Because YouTube don't pay. And it's a daft thing because you can make a video about unboxing, I don't know, a Cindy doll or something, or I don't know, unboxing something crazy, a Star Wars toy, there you go. And it'll get, 5 million views, so that's going to make at least $3.5 grand for 5 million views. And then they've took, 15 minutes to make it? It's not any creativity gone into that at all. The amount of creativity I put into my films and the narration and everything that I do, and you get nothing. And that doesn't help today's black day. We're going to need an air pan. This was an MAN. In fact, Wayne Baker, who's one of my wingmen, we've got Lee, we've got Andy, we've got Wayne. He's asked me, let me get these keys, he's asked me what is the number on it, because we're going to try and get one. Has any of you people watching got, I'll give you good money for it, an air filter box in blue. Look at what we've got. It's the 71 number we're going to need. This was rare because it's a free screw. Well, people call them free screws. It's 4 screws because you got the 4th screw there. But look what we've got. This is the hardest part it's going to be to get. I've got to find one of these. My OCD will never ever be satisfied until this engine bay looks exactly like it did before the fire. I'm not putting the wrong air filter clean on it, although a later one is not wrong. It's just it won't be what it was before the fire. No way in a million years, absolutely nothing. I'm not going to stop until this engine looks exactly like it did before the fire, with the addition of the Weber zip tie or screwed in thread improvement alteration is on. So this car will look exactly the same, and I'm not stopping until it does. To do that, we're going to need a 71 HF 96008B or 80, I think it's B0, and the number, keys down, the number 45055 85900. MAN, the filter company that supplied to Ford, stamped up MAN. Not all of them were, they got rid of that logo later on. Series 1 air cleaner box. The base, I think, oh no, the base has to be the same, because I was going to say the base could get away with it, but it won't. It has to line up with those 3 holes. So look at that. Has any of you got one of these that you're prepared to sell me? Let's read the numbers one more time. 71 HF 9600 BD. I think it is. It is, it's BD. So Bravo Delta. or Bravo Oscar. I can't tell. It could be Bravo Oscar, Bravo Delta. 71. HF 9600 Bravo 0 or Bravo Delta. Then with a secondary number after it. 45055. 85900. Ring us now if you've got any information on this number that's coming up on your screen. What am I talking about? Crime Watch. Oh, he's going crazy. 08185588055. Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? And now for our next live reconstruction. This time it takes place in the sleepy village town of Twizzle. A very serious set of armed robbers need to be stopped. Some of the actors we've only used their voices. Ring us. Don't have nightmares about engine fires. Okay, with the t-shirt on, courtesy of Crazy Chris, shall we start the strip down? Well, I suppose we'll have to, won't we? Join me then as we now take all those burned bits off. We'll get a better look when the air pan comes off. We're going to be able to see exactly if it's damaged the carburettor, and also we'll also be getting a bit more info on where them flames have been going. But could you believe that the kickdown solid, them flames all the way down? I mean, the forces. There must have been a fireball coming out the back. I mean, I was thinking. Hang on, let me rest on the tool chest. That's not supposed to rhyme. I was thinking, right? Did the motorist behind me actually see really big fireball flames? Because sometimes if the car's just smoking, you think the engine's gone, or it's the diesel EGR valves blocked. You know, when you see a smoky diesel or whatever, you don't always ring the fire brigade. She must have seen something a lot more severe to ring in the fire brigade. So I reckon there was flames and bits of melted plastic dropping down, then bouncing, creating sparks and stuff. And in other words, obvious signs of fire as opposed to just a knackered engine. So I reckon I'd like to thank the lady or man who phoned this in. I wonder if it was me, if it was you. Think about this at home, folks, as you type away. Let me know in the type box, just there, the type box. Do you reckon that you'd have phoned it in to the fire brigade if you saw the flames? I think I would have. And also, would you then go and look on the internet to see if the car survived or not? I think I would. I think I'd put in Oswald Twizzle, engine fire, whatever. You never know. Some people upload the dashcam footage. So, if that person who phoned it in is thinking along them lines, I hope they find this video so I can thank them. If you are that person, please reply in the comments section. I'll get in touch with you. And I'd like to thank you personally for phoning the fire brigade, because we were lucky, or to a degree we made some luck with the routine with the extinguisher. But if it had run out, and I did use the whole thing, so there was no more left, we would have needed the brigade, and they were there pretty quick. 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 10 minutes, I reckon. Maybe not even that. And the brigade were there. I've actually got more footage which I didn't put on that clip. I had to edit it, but I could probably work it out off that. Anyway, enough of that. That was a miniature fire starter bramble ramble. We're going to get down and we're going to get that off. But the first thing to do is get this powder off. Now I'm going to have to go and Google this. I don't like powders like chemicals. This could be toxic. We don't want to be breathing it in. We're going to attempt to vac out. Or could we wash down? The carburetor's exposed. We could do with a very light jet wash. The jet wash set on a very low pressure and stood quite far back, and just let it rinse down. We need to get that white powder all out of the way. It's all over the place. Because as Arnold says on Christine, once you clean up the broken glass, it might not look so bad. Let's go. Come on, Henry, talk to me and talk to me good. Hit me and hit me good. Henry, our anamorphosized cleaning product. I love him. Henry's going to help us clean up the mess. What a great design. What an absolute... I'd love to talk to the person who invented Henry, simply because it's an absolute masterclass of design. The simplest, most reliable, yes, some motors do burn out, most reliable cleaning device I've ever used. He just delivers time and time again. You can go out with him, you can bang nails in with him all day, bring him home, and he'll shoot dead on target every time. Look at that, that's a great little cleaner. Look at that, ain't that a honey? Come on, Henry, hit me and hit me good. Power up and let's get rid of that. Hey! I've not switched him on. Power up, Henry. Hit me and hit me good. Come on, buddy. Let's get that dirt out of there. I want to get that horrible. Hey! Let's get that out of there. Whoa! Wow. Get it done. I found a picture of you. Whoa, these were the happiest days of my life. Now we're back on the chain gang. We're back on the chain gang. Whoa, back on the chain gang. Well, we're back on the chain gang. I got a picture of you. Oh, it's the happiest days of my life. Now we're back on the chain gang. Okay, Henry does the business, and we've got a little bit of water. We've cleaned the engine bay. Okay, now I was humming to myself. No, I can't sing. I can wire up. I can't dance. I can't sing. I just have a problem with coordination. A real big problem with coordination. My body just doesn't want to do those Michael Jackson moves. Maybe you can dance, maybe you can sing. If you can, please sing me Back on the Chain Gang. Do your own cover. I like the Morrissey cover of it, but the Chrissy Hine one, the original, is also good. But I do like that Morrissey cover of it. Back on the Chain Gang we were singing, because effectively we're back on the engine chain gang. Come on in, I'll flip the screen. I press this button and you disappear to better views. Boom. 2 up, 2 down on that calendar. Okay. Well, look what I found hidden behind a fuel tank, ironically. There is the clip that I never fitted back on. The fuel pipe retaining zip. And there you go. It was down the side, and I deliberately left that there, right, to remind me, before you put the air pan on, make sure you re-zip tie your ferrule. Never mind, it's all gone feral. So, we've cleaned up a little bit. It didn't take long. Some degrease, a bit of cleaner, a wash and a wipe down. I used a very low pressure nozzle on my Karcher and just took it very easy, just dousing it on a little bit. Then some compressed air at a distance. You've got to be careful with the compressed air because you can lift your decals. Talking of decals, these two need replacing. That they've faded out. They're copies and they've faded out, but we'll get them. Noticed that before. Now, we're now in a position to give it a better inspection. So we get the torch. I'm going to take you underneath the car first with the torch. We're going to crawl under with me. I want this video to be like you're with me on your computers and your tellies and your laptops. Commuters, on your computers. I want you to be with me as though you are me going under the car, trying to make this as personal as I can without being that usual shaky camera work and all that, but this camera's got a gyro, so it's a bit better. Right, torch goes this way. I'm just jacked up a little bit, enough to get it underneath. And by the way, I cleaned all this before that trip with Andy as well. Look at the state. This was all cleaned down. I mean, we did go down some muddy tracks. This was all cleaned down, wax oiled and everything. I even put WD behind the chrome trims and everything, all behind them rivets. It was all done before it went out. I'll have to all get done again now. Before I go under, there's a ramp in my garage, and you might think, hey, who's helped you push it up? Because there's no one around. Nope, there is no one around. I used a wheel brace and a block of wood and slowly wheel braced round the wheels up the ramp. It got me in. Ice Cold in Alex, here we go. Right, now Ice Cold in Alex is a film, by the way. Some of my stuff gets, my film references are just lost on translation. Right, oh my God, and this, what? Oh my God, whoa! I hope this camera can pick this up. That's English for stop a horse. Whoa! Oh, the fireball. Can you see that? Now what I've got to try and do is get me glasses, me reading glasses, to focus on the LCD screen to make sure that you're indeed in focus. You should be at that distance. There's the kick down solenoid. I'll try and get you horizontal. It's completely melted the front off that one. I don't think it's done the casing, but that connector's gone. The wiring harness connected to it. The flames have hit the bell housing. I think the flames could hit the bell housing. Right, start getting your answers in now, please, for how fire has got this far down. This is crazy. It's gone as far as the bell housing. It's gone as far as the pan, the automatic transmission pan, but it wouldn't have penetrated that. It wouldn't have got into that. Oh my God, this is getting even worse. Whoa! Again, stop that horse. It's melted the loom down here. The fire's been going all the way down the side of the gearbox. No wonder that woman, or man, rang it in. What the? It's reached the cruise control sender. The flames have got to the tail shaft of the gearbox. No. Hang on. Please try and make it a good experience for the viewers at home. Please don't be shaky, Pete. I know you can't move, and the viewers will totally understand that it's not a professional program. There, is my fingers touching that? It's all melted. Look. No. It is. The flames have got right down to the exhaust. It could have burnt through the carpet. The flames could have come up through the gear selector stick. Yet, it wasn't on fire here when we stopped. Imagine, right, if we'd have pulled over and this was actually ablaze, if this had actually caught, I'd never have got the fire extinguisher under there. Do you know what I think did it? And now, this is where I'd like you to really start typing. So if you're just watching, and especially because look how many people are on. There's over 50 people on, but there's only like sort of 10 of you. Come on, everyone get typing on this, please. This is important. Start typing away. Why do you think it didn't get hold? It's even burnt the little rubber off the... I need a new kickdown solenoid. It's gone. It's burnt all the rubber seal off the end of it. Oh no, another part. Why did the fire not actually burn? You know, in other words, why aren't we on flames here when I pulled over? And, you know, it's just... Should we want to start offering up your theories? I've got mine. We'll see if we both concur in a sec. So type away on why you think it didn't actually fireball and burn through the carpet. Oh my God. Can you see what I can see? Right. So let's talk ourselves through it. The red cable right across the middle of your screens now. I'm going to make sure that it is the middle of your screens because the LCD readout that I have on this camera is very small. It's not much bigger than a postage stamp, even though it's a good camera. Is that? Yes, that's in the middle. Right, so that's melted. Or at least the outer protective, that outer sort of conduit stuff that it had on it, the Ford stuff off the Granada, that's gone. Here we have the starter motor wires fused together, and I can tell what's happened there straight away. You've got your return for your your ballast bypass, which is permanently live, and then you've got your trigger for your solenoid on your gearbox. They've touched together, which gives you live straight to the solenoid, so that's why that has fired up. If that was a single cable and it didn't have the ballast bypass wire, which is connected to your starter motor, then it wouldn't have gone into starter motor running permanently mode. Okay, so that's those cables. We've lost the vac hose for the automatic transmission, so it would have started doing weird gear changes, which it did. And notice it sort of, all this happened almost all at the same time. So that's gone, easily done, easily fixed. It's charred and severed the crankcase ventilation tube, the draw out tube into the pot, singed the pot, so that will need repowder coating. Melted the oil pressure tube, and I tell you what you could have got there. In fact, did anybody pick it up? I've only just picked it up. You'd have got oil pouring out of this, adding to the inferno. I tell you what, let's talk about luck. Let's talk about, I know my topic keeps jumping here, but you can understand why, because I'm excited and pissed off at the same time. It's a mixture of emotions, and also got manic depression. So my neurons are all over the place. Please don't slip into a low. Clock's ticking there. Sometimes I have a little sleep under the car. I think I might have a sleep now because I'm just bloody tired. What the hell was I saying? Lost it completely. No, get back on it. The oil sender would have started to pump oil outside, which would add to the flames. That might explain some of the different coloured deposits we've got, the oily deposits as opposed to clean burning petrol. So you've got that pipe. As I said, the crankcase ventilation pipe into the pot. The pot needs replacing. Water hose on the carburettor has not gone through. That would have created a load of water coming out. Wouldn't have put the fire out though. Oil filters took a singeing. That's easily done. As it singed the brake line here. Apologies if this now doesn't focus. I'm looking at the brake line. Oh, it's had a go. Oh, yes, it's tried to burn the brake lines through. We need a brake line. Let's get back. I can't believe how much damage has been done. Okay, so started to attack the brake line. It's not gone through, but it's having a go. Nearly got through that one. So flames coming down to the wheels. So as far as the wheels now. The lines for the... I tell you what was very lucky. And that is a bit more luck because we're going to try and draw on those positives like I said. Here's some more luck for you. Just look slightly beyond the... Look slightly beyond these two metal pipes are your oil cooler tubes that go to my rad oil cooler radiator at the front. It's an automatic. Okay, and just slightly past the metal, they go to rubber. If those rubbers were just a few more inches forward, it would have burnt through those rubber pipes and then you'd have a serious fire because the Autobox would be pumping out even more flammable and sticky, almost like napalm transmission fluid, which burns lovely. So you'd have had oil pumping out the side of the block, you'd have had transmission fluid pumping out all at the same time because this looks like they've all progressed evenly. All this damage is all evenly progressed across the board, so they've all have failed almost simultaneously. Especially if the fuel input pipe was half pushing fuel in and just spraying out, like it could have popped out the carburettor halfway and still able to supply fuel, which might explain the spluttering, but then spurt fuel out until it finally popped out. So you could have just had this perpetual motion, and the car was able to just keep on going as a raging inferno. So you'd just been like a fireball going down the road. Because we were going to approach 70 miles an hour. It singed the engine mount. But like I said, if this had severed, I don't think it has. Let me grab the camera with my left hand, then get my right hand onto the torch, which was just lying on the floor, and bring you in to see those pipes. No, it's missed them. Okay, it's missed them. I'm going to make sure you're in shot because the torch is blocking the camera's LCD, so I can't see what you can see. Now I can. It's missed those. If they'd have severed, that would have been really bad. Or if they'd have severed first, you'd have blown the gearbox up as well. Because you'd have pumped all the fluid out, set fire to itself, and then just self-destructed at the same time to boot. Okay, so quite nothing costly. So bits of wire, a brake hose, rebleed the line. None of that's expensive. It hasn't damaged the powder coating that I can see, so we don't have to take any, like the subframe off. Singed it a little bit there. Not enough to justify me swapping out the cradle. So flames then, all the way down here, then going all the way under the car to the T-shifter, all the way up to the T-shifter and to the tail housing, enough to melt the tail housing cruise control sender off the loom. So you've got yourself flames pouring underneath the car as opposed to up the bonnet, which is what a lot of people expect to see. Right, I'm not going to now crawl out from under the car whilst keeping the camera running. Spin you round. Pete grabs the torch. He keeps you running. He keeps you running. So there's the extent of the damage. He keeps you running. What we'll do, this video is now going to come to close because it's Saturday night, and I just wanted to let you know the damage isn't catastrophic. I'm going to buff that up to see if the paint's all right, to answer a lot of the people's questions about paint. I'm going to remove the air filter pan. Then I'm going to take a couple of things off. We're going to look at any further extent damage underneath the pan. Then we'll wrap this for Saturday. And you go off and enjoy the rest of your evening. And you've got a lot of people worried, and I appreciate the amount of concern that people show me on the channel. And don't forget, by the way, Classic Ford magazine's out. The January 2021. We're in. Cortina City's in. 7 pages altogether. So Classic Car magazine. Go out and get it. Or go on the Classic Car magazine website and Facebook and tell Simon, and thanks very much for featuring Cortina City in the Classic Ford mag. That, if you want to do anything for me, if you can't put a super chat on, then just go and visit Manor Park Classics, Manor Park, MANOR, because they helped me with the Capri and they've supported me too. Then Classic Car magazine have supported me as well. Also, don't forget, if you've got a Mark III and you haven't joined the Mark III Owners Club, that's a great source of info for everybody. So there's 3 plugs: the Mark III Club, Mark III Owners Club, Classic Ford magazine, and Manor Park Classics. Andy Livesey as well, big up to him. Professional photography if you want it. And this isn't commercial advertising now, by the way. It's thanking people. Andy Livesey Photography as well, for professional photography work with that artistic flair and attention to detail, with an emphasis on interiors and cars. Everyone who showed concern and supported me, we've had no negative comments on this. Well, I'll just ignore them now anyway. There's only a couple of jealous people who I bet they've probably got... No, I won't go into that. Anyway, we thank all the concern. And I wanted to make this video also to thank you and to show you and put your minds at rest on the Saturday night that... we're okay. So it's going to jump to another clip now before we wind it in. Then we'll clean that soot mark off and just see if the paint survived. Take off the air pan, then we'll call it a day. Watch for those things happening right now. PC. Can't press the button to turn it off. Mark! Get to the chopper! The fireball. We're going crazy for the fireball. Now let's have some fire song references, please. And I'm going to knock out No Fire Starter. That one's out. Give me more fire songs. Fire! Who named that popular? Fire! I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you carburetors. Okay. Now for the big reveal. You'll be coming off the stand in a minute. to join us down where it's down and dangerous. We did 13 for the pan bracket bolt at the back. Oh, it smells horrible and burning, as opposed to minty fresh, which is what Ruby's used to. Ruby does not like being mucky. She gets hammered, she's picked up the stones and chips, she's got the little discrepancies here and there. She ain't concourse, but she's a motorway cruiser. She's quiet, smooth and reliable when Pete remembers to attach fuel lines. Boom. Frying tonight. Tonight's chicken fried rice. Frying tonight. Up for grabs, up for a competition is this, as a memento. We put it on the wall to remind us of that day, and me and Andy were out. I think me and Andy, I'd like to have a beer with him one day when we get back, if we ever do. When we're free citizens, you know what I mean? Sit in a pub with a pint, smoke a fag if you want, put it out. I'm not bothered. I want to be free. I want to be a prisoner. You want to be a COVID prisoner? Okay, I want to have a pint with Andy. A nice cool, you know that scene out of Ice Cold in Alex? When they push the Jeep all the way up the hill? And they get to Alexandra. Is that the town of Alexandra? I'm sure it is the town. And the beer's on the bar, and it's condensating. The humidity level must be obviously higher on that. I mean, I never checked the dew point. Could do with looking that up. Average moisture content in Alexandra, I don't think the time will change, so it's in the 50s. Huh? What? Huh? The condensation on the side of the glass. Was it Pilsner? It was a Pilsner. I think that's a German lager, isn't it? A Pilsner. Nice Pilsner. The beads of condensation just running down the glass, and that perfectly formed foam head, representing about 32 for the total volume of the pint. But that foam head, and then you lick your lips. Just, me and Andy could do that and talk about this and talk about that. We were there and you were watching too. I'd like to talk to you too if we can ever see you at another car show. But for now, come on, down we go. And then come over here. Come on, so slowly wind it down. Come on, stop tripping out, bloody maniac. Okay, in we go. Damage report. Less flames at the top than I would have thought. It's not even penetrated through the water heater hose. So a minimal amount of flames coming in from the top. Most of it shielded by the plastic of the... You can indeed see the heat's not that bad. It's not even burned the gasket. Most of it shielded by the plastic of the air filter. So some distributor leads there took a hit. Let's see there. Not bad. The plug, unfortunately, on the H&H Dizzy's gone. Dry. Let me get you and show you. Get the torch and show you that. Got a low battery showing up on the camera. The plug. Oh, hang on. Where are you? Come on. Where the hell are you? That's the problem with these things. Put your hand in. There. The plug has melted that runs the distributor, and it could have burnt the distributor pack. I could have lost it. The H&H Dizzy, 200 quid. Gone. It's melted the pack. Look. Repowder coat that inlet manifold. Just had all that done. It's even. It's took the advanced tube off. It's melted the distributor. The flames have been coming down the inside of here and round and wrapping round. It's melted the Dizzy advanced vac pipe. Completely melted it off. It's gone. Wow. The flames. This is all to do with speed. The speed of the air rushing through the car, making this fireball. I'm surprised it hasn't melted the... Well, we're going to wind it down now. I promised you I'd take off that air pan. And as I said, it's melted the vac advanced pipe. In fact, you can see the evidence of it just laid across one of the inlet tubes there on the inlet manifold. Look, there's the remains of the vac advance. Here it is. Look at that. That wiggle. I'll have to get that repowder coated. That was just freshly done as well. So, didn't penetrate through the water hose here, the auto choke loop through hose, and hasn't damaged the heater box, which I was about to say as the battery just cut off. Tried to, just started to have a little tickle, a little a little investigation, a little tickle, a little curious tickle. Took out the loom just here. Look, I'll have to just rewrap that. Started to attack that loom just there. If it had got through that loom, then it would have got a loom short as well. It would have took out the main fused link, because there is a heavy power feed goes through that wire, but it didn't do it. Now, I told you just early on, we're winding down now, so don't worry, you can get back to your Saturday night. Enough of my wobbling about. Has it took the cruise out, cable? No, cruise survives. Good old cruise survives. No, you can get back to your activities. I'm going to wind it down. But what I wanted to say is that I put a lot of questions up, and I'm inviting you now to type away or comment away. If you've missed the live chat, don't worry, we'll do another one soon, on what you think about this. Please tell me how you think that the flames got all the way to the back, virtually all the way to the back of the car, and let me know what you think if it would have hit the the automatic transmission fluid pump pipes. What you think would have happened? I think it either got a self-contained fire that wouldn't have gone out. I think that would have burned on its own, and you'd never have got the fire extinguisher under. I think that if the tubes had gone from the gearbox, it would have melted through, be burning, I'd have pulled over, and it would have carried on emptying the contents of the gearbox onto the floor. That's what I think would have happened. In fact, I'm half tempted to get some ATF and pour it on a board and see how viciously it burns. Then the fire would have been underneath the centre of the car, burned through the carpets, and that would definitely be it, unless the fire brigade got there in time. So it's all very, very close. And again, I've asked you to comment on what you think, all your ideas about exactly what happened here. Do you think that we were minutes away from a full-on burnout? How do you think the fire spreads from an engine into the bulkhead? Reference SLE 71R, the Minder Capri. And if the Minder Capri guy is watching, get in touch. I'd like to discuss fires with you. Do you think that it would have eventually burned through the bulkhead, or do you think that the heater would have caught and become its own fireball? Perhaps anything in the engine bay would have been quickly addressed with the fire extinguisher we had, if indeed it didn't run out. Now, they're not the biggest capacity. Perhaps you should have one in the boot, large capacity, and a smaller fire extinguisher under your seat. I'd go for always under the driver's seat. Perhaps Velcro it up with something that you can tear away quickly, not zip ties, something you can rip out. Perhaps even masking tape. But keep that fire extinguisher under the driver's seat and rehearse what I've just done. Rehearse pulling over calmly, knowing that you've got your extinguisher, and remember the techniques. In my case, we didn't need to do it, but to slowly lift the bonnet, and perhaps you're going to be spraying under as you go. And also, maybe even gloves. You know, a pair of welder's gloves you could have just under the seat too. If you really were in a big blaze and your hands were going to have to get under, at least you'd get your hands half in. I don't know. Send us your ideas, because I'm curious about it. The other fire risk, which I did talk about when I was building the car, was if your power steering pump somehow blew out and you went onto the exhaust manifold. That's the biggest risk I always thought. Where it was ever going to go, it was going to be this. Simply because of the ignition point of brake fluid and transmission fluid. Brake fluid is very flammable and does auto-ignite well before petrol. Indeed, if you look on later cars, 80s cars, they ended up having a split bulkhead here and putting the brake master cylinder within a separate firewall bulkhead, because a lot of engine fires happened on frontal collisions when the brake fluid bounced onto the exhaust. So if you look on the design of later cars, everything's got a separate bulkhead to stop that brake fluid landing onto the hot engine components and catching fire. That's how a lot of frontal collision fires happened. So there's loads to think about in this film. We're probably running into half an hour, 14 minutes. It seems that the shorter films, like 10 minutes, are more popular on YouTube. Why is that? You know, I would have thought that people would like the more information the better, but they do say I ramble on. Maybe that's why. Anyway, that's something else for us to discuss another time. For now, as I said, you can get back to your Saturday. And leave this with me now to continue stripping down. Probably won't film us taking all these bits off. Perhaps I'll jump to it when they're all laid out on the floor. We'll leave that for next week. I'm going to take Sunday off and not think about the cars too much. We have got Bramble to go out in at the weekend. So Ruby lives to see another day. Close escape then. Put your worst case scenarios to me, please, on the comments or on the live chat box, and say what you think possibly could have happened. Reference transmission fluid, brake lines, and especially the point I made about the cooling tubes from the auto box and the way that it pumps fluid. Also reference the starter motor damage. What damage would it have done, because I don't know this, having the starter motor running when the engine was still going, because that's what happened. So what damage would that have done? I don't think, would it have damaged my torque converter? I don't think so. Would it have damaged the ring gear? Bear in mind the engine was turning over when we pulled up, so if the ring gear was stripped, surely the engine would not be turning. So if that's the case, the ring gear is not damaged. What damage has it done to the starter motor? Has it over-stressed it or what? Let me know. And what damage on an automatic? It could be different on a manual. On an auto, what effect happens, do you think, when a starter motor is turning when the engine is running? And that's about it. So a lot of tubes melted through, and 3 different types of fluid have been introduced. Oil from the engine, which was introduced to the flames. I'm sure that had ignited. The possibility of the transmission fluid, but that didn't happen. And then the petrol itself. So this was all a close escape. I've been Pete C from Cortina City. This has been Project Ruby. And this was the engine fire update part 2. Engine fire update part 1, perhaps. Depends how you want to call it. We'll bring you some more stuff soon. Over and out for now. Reach in for the beer. Take it easy though. Okay, thanks for all your support, comments. If you haven't subscribed to Pete C and Cortina City, look at that little subscribe button there. Let's get up to 22,000 subs. And if you can help me, if you don't want to help with any of the super chat, spread and post the links to the channel on other forums or magazines you might know about. That'll help me build the channel. It gives you a bit more inspiration. Over and out, Pete C Cortina City. Good night, and thanks for your support. We shall get this running again. Good night.